Good morning, this is Brian with glutenfreehomebrewing.com. This morning I'm making a extract beer and I'm doing it from home and I'm using my cell phone because all of my my filming equipment is at the business. So I apologize for any camera shake. I'll try and hold it as steady as possible. But this is a really great example because if you're brewing an extract beer, which is what we're going to do, it's probably going to be similar to what we're doing today because we're just doing this on our stovetop. And we're using a lot of things that you find in your kitchen. So these are the ingredients, and you'll notice that there are some pre-milled grains in there. And we still call this an extract. Arguably, it's a partial mash. In the conventional world, you might get some starches and some conversion into some fermentable sugars. But with the difficulties of getting any kind of extraction in this really simple steeping method, realistically, we're just going to get some color and some flavor and some other good stuff. So we still call it an extract, but arguably you could call it a partial mash. We also have the fermentables such as the sorghum syrup, in this case the D240, some rice syrup solids, the unmarked package in the middle is some maltodextrin, and then of course our hops and yeast and whirlfloc tablets. We're using a kettle. We're using a brute kettle in this instance because, well, we have one. You could use a really big stock pot, but it would have to be pretty darn big to hold enough of the water that we're going to use in today's mash. We have a metal spoon there. We don't recommend using a wood spoon or anything porous like that, anything that might have flavors or other contaminants from things you've made in the past, like soups and foods and things like that. So plastic, metal, something that isn't going to have any undesired effects on the beer. A dial thermometer of some kind. Most kitchens have that. In this case, the tricky part is you need it to be long enough that it can actually reach the liquid in the kettle. So the standard kitchen dial thermometer may not be long enough. We also have a really big glass measuring container or measuring glass cup. There we go. And this one I did specifically buy for brewing a long time ago when I was doing my own extract brewing. But man, it really comes in handy making stuff around the house. So if you don't have an 8-cup measuring cup, buy one because I use it all the time and most of the time not for brewing. And then lastly, we are on an electric stove, and I don't know what you think about gas versus electric. I would prefer gas, but I'm never going to pay to have it installed in our house. The electric stoves are a little fussy on mine. What I can tell you is that when I want to get to a really nice rolling boil after we've done all this initial stuff, is that when I turn the dial down to 9, it kind of stays at a rolling boil. But as soon as I inch it a little bit under 9, and you can kind of hear the stove clicking a little bit, the power going into the coils actually decreases more. It's kind of a skewed system. So like an 8 is not truly an 8 and a 9 is not truly the 9. So you're gonna have to figure out on your stove what can maintain a rolling boil and what's gonna drop you below that. And you might find that you have to have your stove cranked up a little bit higher, and that's totally fine. It's just you might have a little bit of a more rapid boil off rate, and that's more desirable than not maintaining the rolling boil. So that gets a little complicated, but it's just something that we should all know, because if you have an electric stove in your house, it's something you're going to have to contend with. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here before we move on to the next section, and I'll see you at that point.